Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James. Guys, welcome along. So please smash that sub, help the channel to keep on inexorably growing. Well, look, let's talk. What is going on at Rangers? I mean, seriously, why are we behaving like a proper football club when it comes to actually selling players and getting in decent fees and negotiating decent transfers? I mean, what's happening? What has happened? Well, I think Nils Koppen has happened. Massive. I want to start off before I talk about the story about Ianis Hagi, which is very much in the media this morning. I want to say big, just how impressed I am with Nils Koppen. Just the job that he is doing at the club at this moment in time. If you look at Koppen, he's come in, he's kind of starting to revolutionise the way that we do business. I mean, if you look back across the last 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 transfer windows, you can quite categorically say that Rangers, in terms of the way they've transferred players, bought players, etc., allowed contracts to run down. They very much conducted themselves like a League One, League Two outfit, or even a non-league outfit in England. It's been very unprofessional. Ross Wilson, I mean, let's face it, he's currently destroying Nottingham Forest. I'm sure they will be relegated this season. That's how bad they genuinely are. But look, I think, the Koppen is turning us into a modern 21st century European football club. That when we buy players, we buy them for reasonable amounts with proper deals negotiated, with incremental payments, with performance bonuses, etc., very much as most teams in England, in the EPL, in La Liga, in Bundesliga, in Serie A, and in League Undo, the top 5 leagues in Europe, very much like that. Add to that as well the fact that, when we sell players now, we seem to be getting decent initial fees for them, but then doing something that seems to be utterly revolutionary, which is adding certain performance increments and add-ons to those deals that mean that as that player, say, succeeds for his club, Rangers will get more money. Also adding sell-on clauses as well into contracts so that when players are transferred, we get some percentage of that transfer fee. I mean, it's not rocket science, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to see that someone has finally come in who knows how to run a transfer business, who knows how to run a trading model. Nils Koppen, I think, is bringing that expertise that he gained at PSV. Yes, I know he wasn't the director of football, the sporting director, technical director, whatever you want to call it. That was John de Jong. But Koppen was very much responsible for scouting, for bringing players to the attention of John de Jong, that John de Jong would then go on and sign. In terms of Koppen, it was a case that he was the one that brought in Sabari. He brought in Noah Lang. He brought in Bakayoko, Sangare. All those players to the attention of De Jong, who he then signed, and a number of those players have obviously been sold for huge profits by PSV Eindhoven. So that's obviously looking at the Lammers deal. Now the next one on the production line seems to be Ianis Hagi. Now, Hagi obviously has been off on his summer holidays after his efforts at the Euros with Romania, and I thought he played quite well for Romania at the Euros when he was given the opportunity, working from the wing, where it's not his natural position, as we know, but he still did a decent job for them out there. But it seems that Ianis Hagi's time at Rangers is very much coming to an end, which I don't think really surprises anyone. And I know there's a lot of fans out there that would love to see Ianis given a chance this season. However, I just don't think that, given the fact that Ianis is a player that seems to be a 10, seems to be regarded as a 10, and the type of 10 that Clement seems to want is that physical, quick, speedy, stay in the middle, link up kind of 10. That's not Ianis. Ianis, certainly one of the words to describe Ianis is not speedy. As well, he's not overly physical. I don't think he matches up with what Clement wants as a 10. In terms of that playing in that pivot too, I don't think he's really got it there either. I don't think he's the type of player that Clement wants. So I think, he very much will be moving on. And I know that's going to upset some fans. I know some fans wanted Ianis to stay, whilst others kind of saw the end of it. Now, I think, personally speaking, I think Ianis was a great player for us during 55. He did a great job. I think the injury majorly set him back. And perhaps, when any player comes back from an ACL injury, it does affect them. They tend to lose a step of pace, which Ianis never had to lose. There tends also to be an 18-month period after the return from that injury when there is a rebuilding of trust in the area that was injured. Players don't seem to be as willing to jump, to turn, to sprint as quickly as they previously did for risk of that injury going again. And that's very much kind of from a study that was done in the NFL around players who got ACL injuries, that they weren't the same players for the first 12 to 18 months after they came back from that injury. So I think that's very much the situation. Hagi, look, he also spoke, didn't he, about the Euros, about wanting to find a club where he was wanted, wanting to find a club where he could play and start. I think the situation was horribly mismanaged in the past by Michael Beale, and Michael Beale has still got a lot to answer for in the damage that he has done to this club, damage that he's done to every club he's been at, to be honest with you. I mean, the guy is an absolute charlatan. But the current story, the current obviously report is that Ianis Hagi will, in the very near future, obviously I think within the next week or so, be joining Fiorentina in Serie A. Fiorentina, one of the top teams in Serie A. I mean, certainly from the past that was the case. I mean, I'm someone who grew up watching Gazzetta Football Italia. Those of you who remember Gazzetta Football Italia, I remember, old Battistuta playing for them. I mean, old Battigol. I mean, that's how I go back to. In terms of Fiorentina. Fiorentina last season finished 8th in Serie A, just outside the European places, only a point behind Lazio in 7th, who got into the Conference League. So look, I think it's a good destination. Ianis has played at Fiorentina before, didn't make much of a breakthrough there, but I think he's confident this time that if he goes to Florence, that he will become a stable part of their starting 11. I think also, the style of football in Italy does more suit him. It is more slow, deliberate build-up play, very much, where players who are technically sound and technically gifted get more time on the ball to do what they do than they do in Britain. In terms of the English leagues and the Scottish league, you don't get a lot of time on the ball, do you? Let's face it, you do get kicked up a height, especially in Scotland if you play for Rangers. So Ianis is obviously on his way out. Now, what we're hearing in terms of a transfer fee and in terms of a contract, again, is demonstrating Koppen's wiseness in terms of moving these players on and getting decent fees now, and those fees then obviously rising and obviously as well getting money out of it down the road. Now, according to reports in Italy, it is that Ianis Hagi will transfer to Fiorentina for £2.1 million. That fee can rise depending on certain performance increments being met, and also Rangers have inserted a 10% sell-on clause, I'm hearing, into the contract, so that if Hagi is then sold on by Fiorentina 2-3 years down the line, Rangers will receive a percentage of that fee, very much as they did with the Glenn Kamara deal, where we got 860,000 from Leeds for their £8.6 million sale to, I think it was Lille or Rennes, maybe. I think it was in one team in France anyway, that wears red. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, so look, again, this represents a very good piece of business by Nils Koppen. Again, he's changing the way we do business. He's changing the way this club works. He's bringing in a real trading model. He's really putting into place, deals that reflect what modern 21st century European top football teams are doing. Like I said, if you go through Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool down south, this is what they do. This is how they make money. And, this club, we can't rely on TV deals like the English can. We can't rely on income revenue streams like the English can. The EPL, the EFL Championship are vast money-making enterprises, So we've got to make our money through transfer fees, through trading model, through sell-on clauses, through performance increments. And this is the way of the future. This is how this club gets back to being a major European force again. And this is what Nils Koppen is doing. Now, I firmly believe, and you may laugh at me for this, and you may say, get your blue-tinted glasses off. They're not blue-tinted. They're actually just darkening because they've got those reactions lenses. But for me, this is a man who will, I think, through his philosophy, through his transfer philosophy, through his recruitment strategy, through the way he works, take this team back to a position where, now this is the dependent bit, he will do his part, I believe, where with the right coaching, right management, right management by the board, and there's a major flaw in the argument, can move back to being one of the top teams in Europe again. We've seen, haven't we, teams from unfancied leagues around Europe, not the top 5 leagues, doing well in European competition. I think, yes, you look at the top 5 leagues, Serie A, Bundesliga, La Liga, EPL, Ligue 1, top 5 leagues. But, we look at other teams and other leagues that are not quite as fancied, the Portuguese teams that do well, the Dutch teams that do well. These are teams that, come from leagues that are not massively competitive. Yes, probably more competitive than the SPL. But you look at the turnover, the prospective turnovers, the size of club. There's no reason why Rangers, with the right management, the right philosophy in terms of recruitment strategy and income revenue stream strategy, cannot compete with the likes of PSV, Ajax, Feyenoord, Sporting Lisbon, FC Porto, Benfica. These are huge clubs in Europe that have huge transfer budgets because they generate that money themselves through selling players. And there's no reason why, with this recruitment strategy that Nils Koppen is bringing in, we cannot do that. The Hagi deal, I think, does represent that. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Once again, guys, thank you for your phenomenal support over the last few weeks, days, months, year. And please, obviously, continue to smash the sub so you don't miss out on any of the great free content. On the way out, if you can do me 2 favors. Number 1, smash that like. And number 2, remember always, we are the people.